All right, today we are diving into a true pop culture legend, a show that burned so bright, so fast, and left behind a legacy of some of the most gloriously unhinged moments in television history. So let's get into the story of sun, sand, and complete soap opera insanity. This is the story of Sunset Beach, NBC's bold, short-lived soap that took the classic daytime formula and just cranked it up to 11. It became an unforgettable cult favorite in the process. So, where did this beautiful chaos even come from? Well, it all started with a television titan, a man who basically owned primetime drama in the 90s, the one and only Aaron Spelling. See, after NBC canceled its soap Generations back in 91, they really needed a fresh start for their daytime block. So who do you call? The master himself. Spelling was fresh off the massive success of shows like Beverly Hills 90210 and Melrose Place, and he was tasked with bringing that same youthful, high-stakes energy to the world of daytime soaps. And the mission was crystal clear from the get-go. As consulting producer Jonathan Levin put it, the goal was to capture a younger audience. They wanted viewers who weren't already committed to those decades-old shows like Days of Our Lives. They wanted to create something new, something modern, something just for them. The setting was pure California dreaming, this picturesque little coastal town in Orange County. I mean, it looked like paradise. But as we all know, in the world of soaps, the prettier the picture, the darker the secrets hiding just beneath that sunny surface. And at the very heart of it all was this romantic local legend. This little piece of folklore is what kicks off the entire series, sending our wide-eyed heroine on a quest for the man she believes is her one true destiny. It was the perfect, classic soap opera beginning. And the characters? Oh, they were straight out of the soap opera playbook. You had Meg, the innocent girl from Kansas. You had Ben Evans, the brooding, wealthy widower with a past. There was forbidden love, power-hungry villains, and of course, Annie, the resident schemer you just love to hate. It had all the classic ingredients. But Sunset Beach wasn't content with just following the recipe. Oh no, they were about to throw the whole cookbook out the window. Because that traditional path, it didn't last long. The show quickly veered from standard romance and intrigue into pure, delightful, chaotic spectacle. And this is where the series really found its identity. You might be asking yourself, okay, how wild are we talking here? Well, buckle up, because this is where the fun really begins. The writers seem to ask themselves, what is the most insane thing we can possibly do? And then they just did it. First up, they essentially dropped a full-blown slasher movie right into the middle of the show. I'm not kidding. Several main characters get stranded on an island, and they're hunted by a masked killer in a costume that looked, let's just say, very similar to the one from Scream. It was shocking, it was terrifying, and it led to one of the biggest twists in daytime history. Because when the killer was unmasked, it was Ben. Or, well, actually, it was his long-lost, completely evil twin brother, Derek. And this is a classic soap trope taken to the absolute extreme. Derek wasn't just some minor villain. He became a central antagonist, impersonating Ben and tormenting the entire town for years. But hey, why stop at an evil twin when you can have a full-blown disaster movie? The show literally unleashed an earthquake on Sunset Beach, which triggered a massive tsunami that capsized a cruise ship with half the cast on board. This wasn't just a plot point, it was a huge event, so big in fact that NBC actually repackaged the episodes into a primetime special. But perhaps nothing, and I mean nothing, captures the show's absolute audacity like the infamous turkey baster plot. Just let that sink in for a second. To break up a happy couple, the villain Virginia drugged one of them and used, yes, a turkey baster to impregnate her with stolen sperm. It's a storyline that has gone down in daytime television history for its sheer boldness and controversy. It's the perfect example that for the writers of Sunset Beach, there were absolutely no limits. So, with storylines this wild, the show must have been a ratings monster, right? Well, this is where the story of Sunset Beach gets really, really interesting, because the reality was a lot more complicated. If you look at the ratings in the United States, you can see the whole story of the show's struggle. As you can see right here, despite some brief spikes in viewership, like that big one during the tsunami storyline, it consistently lagged at the bottom of the daytime ratings. For whatever reason, it just couldn't build that large, loyal domestic audience. But internationally, it was a completely different story. In the United Kingdom, this show was a phenomenon. It became a massive cult hit, with universities even holding Sunset Beach-themed parties. That cinematic chaos was its main selling point abroad. For UK viewers who weren't used to the slower pace of American soaps, the show's high-octane, almost movie-like plots felt fresh and exciting. The fan base was so passionate that when NBC announced the cancellation, the UK's Channel 5 actually tried to put together a deal to help co-fund it and keep it on the air. Unfortunately, that effort failed, and The Sun did, eventually, set on Sunset Beach. But its short run absolutely cemented its place in television history. After 3 seasons and 755 episodes, packed with more drama than most shows manage in a decade, the final episode aired on New Year's Eve 1999, closing out the millennium with one last, unforgettable twist. The writers decided to go out with a total bang. In the final moments, Meg wakes up back in Kansas, realizing the entire 3-year saga was just a dream, only to then actually wake up for real in bed with Ben in Sunset Beach. It was this hilarious, self-aware wink to the audience, poking fun at one of the most cliché endings in all of fiction. In the end, that's really the legacy of Sunset Beach. It was this wild, ambitious experiment that proved daytime television could be just as high concept and action-packed as any primetime blockbuster. It was short-lived, for sure, but absolutely unforgettable. And that's a wrap on the wild ride that was Sunset Beach. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into a true 90s classic. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we want to hear from you in the comments. What classic soap opera, with all its drama and disasters, should we explore next?